Get ready to remove the filter from your timeline. Get ready to break the censorship of social media. Get ready to support the grassroots alternative to establishment propaganda. Get ready for an authentic voice. Get ready to resist cancel culture. Get ready for free speech media. This is FSM.
From the heart of trucker America, my boy Reed Coverdale, host of The Naturalist Capitalist.
As the left becomes less religious, they become more statist. And as the right becomes more religious, they still become more statist.
Whenever you add government, you by default remove community.
But it actually starts with Bush, right? Like in 2006.
That'd be the most satisfying, like, chair shot, ka-chung.
And I have no intention of keeping any promise that I make.
The radical messaging is almost more pragmatic sometimes.
It's bad that the state is as big as it is.
What is going on, Liberty lovers? Thank you for watching another episode of The Naturalist Capitalist. And we've got Nick Ashley on the other end, who I'm sure most of you have, even if you haven't heard his name, you've probably seen some of his content around. So how's it going, Nick?
Dude, I'm giddy right now because I just typed in the chat. This intro long as fuck.
I replied.
I'm doing great.
Told you to shut up. So.
I saw that. That's why I'm giggling. This is great. Thank you for having me on, Reed. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for those in the audience who don't know you, how long have you been in the liberty space? Have you been a libertarian for a long time? Have you been interested in politics a long time, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I've always been pretty political. My dad watched a lot of Fox News whenever I was younger. So I've been like a libertarian, what I would consider to be a libertarian, for probably 3.5 years now. And, you know, growing up, I was kind of a neocon Republican just because of all the Fox News watching my dad did. So it was mostly like anti-Obama shit. I'm just now getting into this, like the liberty space, as you would call it, like the whole circle and the movement within the past 6 months. And, as you can see, I've made a lot more ripples than I thought I would.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been involved in the liberty space that long. It's been about a year, a little over a year. But I have been a libertarian for a bit longer. I don't know what to think. Like, I'm amazed at how autistic everyone is, and that's got its ups and downs. Like, in some ways it's great, and in other ways it's like, wow, guys. But what do you think of the people in the Liberty Circle so far?
Well, the crowd that I fell into, and I've been saying this ever since I've been at Childeberg, I've been gushing over everybody on Twitter, and I've said this before. Like, every now and then I'll just randomly tweet out, "I love you guys," stuff like that. But I fell into the greatest crowd of people that I could possibly have found. Like the guys that are in the circle that I'm in, that are part of the in group, as we call it, like the Timeline Earth guys and the Slurp Gang guys. Those are all amazing people. All of the people that are involved in the Tower Gang, formerly Tower Gang, now Gazebo Gang. Those are all really awesome people. And, you know, it seems like other than a select amount of people that are really loud and obnoxious, everybody in this thing is just great. And I've never been more proud to be a part of something, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's evolving too. I don't know how much of it predates last year. I feel like last year was a huge year for evolution online in general, but especially in political movements, because everybody started connecting there so much more, you know, doing all these videos, starting all these podcasts and all these group chats on Twitter. It seems like a relatively new phenomenon. So I wonder how much of it has come to be within the time that you and I have joined, and how much of it predates us. I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I've only been on Twitter for about 6 months, and that's really the only social media that I'm on right now. I'm on MeWe too, but that's just to be in the Tom Woods group. So yeah, that would be. I mean, I know that some of the guys that are in the circle have accounts that go back 10, 12 years, but I don't know how the movement was back then, or if they were even a part of it back then. So yeah, that would be something to talk about, something interesting to know.
Yeah. So a lot of people hate these groups that we're talking about. I'm also in Tower Gang, and I also kind of ride with a lot of the same weirdos that you do, and I love them as well. A lot of people think we are the bane of the libertarian movement. They would prefer that we don't exist because, much less me, like I'm a little bit more selective in which which kerfuffles I get involved with, but obviously you're not. So a lot of people just get angry about the shitstorms that ensue, but I think there's a greater purpose to them. They're not just for fun. They're not just to be annoying. Do you have an agenda whenever you're doing that at any given time? Are you trying to separate the wheat from the chaff, or why do you delve into those conversations and try to get people angry?
Oh, well, really, I don't think my goal is trying to get people angry. My goal, if I'm ever doing anything, is just trying to be funny. Now the thing that the shitstorm that kicked off the other day with, I'm not going to say any names. People know who I'm talking about. I've been referring to her as Number 4, like from the codename Kids Next Door. But what happened with that was this person had taken a screenshot of a bunch of people that liked a really offensive, like edgy meme that was a transgender suicide meme, and the thing said was/were, and it was somebody that looked like they were, hanging from a tree. Some people took that as like a lynching, like, oh, we're going to kill you. I thought it was a suicide because that's what the jokes about that stuff always are. Now, just, yeah, edgy, not in very good taste. Fine. That's you could think that if you want, whatever. From a French weirdo. And hey, what's up, Fred? I know you. Glad you're getting super chats now. That's really cool. Did that just recently start?
Yeah, I just got monetized a few weeks ago, so I just had to figure out how to be technologically advanced on this end. So it's coming together.
That's awesome. But anyway, what I did was what bothered me about what she did was that she took a screenshot, or, she screenshotted a bunch of people that liked that edgy meme and posted, like, tagging a bunch of people, like, look at all these people that liked or interacted with this picture that's really offensive. And then that's like, why would you do that? And then so what I did was I got a screenshot of her doing just that, and I posted a tweet that said, hey, I think you're the one in the picture and you're mad about it. So that one was inflammatory on purpose. But the vast majority of the time I'm doing something, it's just to be funny. That was specifically because I was pissed at this person in particular. Like, why are you doing that? And the guy that did post the thing got banned. But so it turned out a lot of people, I wonder how many people think I'm the one that came up with the picture itself. I didn't make it. Somebody else made it, Tridget Confucius, and he's gone now. So I was afraid I was going to be getting banned because I did post the picture in reply to the picture I sent out saying, hey, you're the one in the picture, because I was like, yeah, this picture. so I thought I might have gotten banned, but it hasn't happened, and maybe we're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. So aside from that situation where you're actually really angry at someone and you're just kind of lashing out back at them, you do engage in a lot of shit posting. But to me, it seems to have a deeper meaning than just being there to piss people off. I mean, I do it all the time. I do shit posting to try to get people to think of a concept. What I usually do is I'm so ridiculous that people will realize how ridiculous the overall theme of what I'm saying is, and they'll apply it to something that they believe that they realize is ridiculous because of what I've said. So, I mean, today I posted, a lot of things, but one of them was, I'm not against gun ownership. I'm just against illegal gun ownership. And so when you start thinking about that, like, oh yeah, it's just a law. What difference does it make if you pass a law that, and it opens people's minds up? Do you have that goal ever, or are you just there trying to get reactions from people?
It depends. Like yesterday, I had a really good one that went pretty wide. Was I took a picture of I found a screenshot or a picture of I don't even remember what it was. I think it was a tiny home, like like a little bitty tiny home that was like clown themed, and I just posted that picture with gonna tell my kids this was the Cato Institute. The reason I did that was because somebody at Cato was going back and forth with Thomas Massey I don't remember the specific issue that they were having. I think it had something to do with, it was the lottery. I don't remember what state it was. Maybe it was Kentucky, because I know Massey is in Kentucky. But it was one of these states that's doing like a lottery, like they're entering people into a lottery if they go and get the coronavirus vaccine. And it's like $1 million lottery. So there's $3 million allotted to this thing. And he's like, if you work out the math, the taxpayers paid like all this money and you're only getting $1 back per person, like some shit. So this person at Cato was giving him crap about it, and I was just like, Cato, that would be good to dunk on right now. And then I made that. So that was one thing that I did with intent. A lot of the other stuff is just because it's entertaining and fun and it grows the following. And if my following is growing from the shit posts and the humor, and then eventually every time I have a episode out, it's my pinned tweet on the profile. So somebody's going to go to the profile and see, this guy does a podcast. Recently I did one with Cotton Archist about Childeberg. I don't know why I blanked on the word for a second, but recapping the whole event. And so somebody that sees this stuff is a new follower. They go to my account. It's going to be the first thing they see is the podcast. So it's more of like a parallel thing. Like the Liberty stuff is one thing and the shit posting is another, and they kind of converge at sometimes, but it's one's to attract and one's to keep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Do you like the following that you've gotten? I mean, because it's hard to control your following. I sometimes I'll make a tweet about the police or about border security or something, and I'll realize, wow, I've got a lot of people following me who don't understand what I think about these things. Do you find that too, or most of the people who follow you kind of chill because there's quite the vetting process to go through to stay on your timeline for more than like 20 minutes, I guess?
Somewhat. I did have a couple of times where I just had like a couple of days where I was just talking shit on conservatives, and I didn't mean like good conservative. I just meant like, I made a tweet that was just like, what do conservatives actually conserve? And that like had hundreds of replies. I mean, hundreds, and a lot of them were followers and a lot of them weren't. But over time, if you're good on every issue, which libertarians, we're good on every issue. And I'm not just saying that, we literally are. Mm-hmm. If you're good on every issue, you're going to attract people from other ideologies who are good on every issue. Like if you're good on war, which we are because we're libertarians, you're going to attract a good leftist or a really good conservative. Right. If you're good on guns, you're going to attract good conservatives. Conservatives who are good on guns at least. Which they should be, and so on and so forth. Now, if you're anti-cop, which we're anti-cop, so we're going to get people that are here for the gun stuff and they're not going to like the cop stuff, and that's okay. So I've had that happen. I don't mind it. I think it's kind of funny at times, like, oh, how quaint, you thought I was one of you, in a not a condescending way, but kind of like, oh, that's, I've been there before kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. So when did you start your podcast? Because I think like 800 of them have started in the last year. So what prompted you to take off, and what do you talk about mostly?
So the reason I started was just because I wanted to get into the sphere and be able to voice my ideas, because I started to realize I have a little bit more to say than I thought I would when I first became a libertarian. And the more I read, the more economics I read, that's what really kind of threw me into the Rothbardian-ish type of thing, was just discovering the Austrian school. The more I read and the more I listened to like Tom Woods and Bob Murphy and Scott Horton and those guys, the more I realized I had unique and original thoughts that I could add to the conversation. And why not? It's free. I don't pay anything to do any of the stuff that I do. And I get to meet super cool people and do shows like yours and talk to really cool people like you. And as far as like what I do for the show, originally I started out where I wanted to kind of go through people's ideological, progression, which is a big thing I'm interested in talking about in general. But normally that doesn't, if you're talking about a specific topic, you can talk about it for hours if you have a guest that knows a lot about it. So that kind of takes a back seat now. Like we just, like I had Dr. Jonathan Newman on, we talked about economics because he's an economist with the Mises Institute, have Cotton. I did my latest episode. We talked about Childeberg. I could have talked about Childeberg for a whole day. We could have just talked about that. So you can't really get into things about his background. I could have, but the episode was about Childeberg. It depends on the guest is the best answer.
Yeah. Yeah. So has it been pretty successful? Have you been surprised by success or by who's willing to do it? That's been the biggest thing with me is like, if you reach out to anyone, they'll pretty much always do it if they have time.
Yeah, for sure. I'm more shocked. Like now that I've done a few where I got a guess that I didn't really think. For example, the first guess that I got that was like, oh wow, this is a big get. This guy is Jonathan Newman, who's with the Mises Institute, and I was like, wow, this is like a legit Austrian economist. I can't believe he would do little old me's show. But now that I've learned, and I've seen other people who have shows similar in size and age as mine, that really big guys do their show. And most of these folks are just happy to be able to go and uplift somebody. What I'm most shocked by is the fact that I didn't even think I would have like 100 followers on Twitter, let alone whatever I have right now, 1,400 or whatever it is. So I am shocked by that. I'm shocked by the size of the show and the size of my Twitter following more than anything, for sure.
Yeah. So something that I've found lately is when you make friends in the Liberty Movement in all different corners, you're just going to have conflict of interest. Like you're going to have people who hate other friends that you have. Like they won't necessarily hate you, but they'll be like, how can you be friends with that guy? It certainly happened with you. I mean, there are people who are upset that they're probably going to be upset that I'm having you on the show today.
For sure they will. Yeah. I apologize in advance.
No, I love it. That's what I live for at this point. But then there are people on the other side who hate that I'm friends with David Feit or someone like that. And I've just had to realize that I don't care. I mean, I don't care who other people like. I just want to talk with all of these people and connect with all of them and hear all their thoughts. And it's not about creating a giant social club and getting everyone to love each other. It's really about the ideas that we stand for and the principles we stand for and flushing them out. And I thought that, the whole liberty unity thing kind of needs a rebranding, because I think so many people do think it means that we all have to be friends and we all have to like each other, where that's always been an impossible goal, trying to get friendships in all these circles. It's really about the principles and realizing what the bigger picture is. But do you have that problem ever, or are you just in one camp so much that you don't ever have to really worry about it?
I kind of almost had it, because all of my boys got mad at Phil Labonte, and I love Phil Labonte because he talked shit about my favorite Twitter account, Neocon Mover. Phil said some shit about him on Joshua Smith's show. So that's the only time I ever had that specific type of conflict, and I was able to be like, hey, I love Phil and I love all these other guys, so I'm not gonna say anything. But that was actually kind of funny to look. Isn't it funny as the neutral guy? Isn't it funny to kind of look from the outside and be like, ostensibly, you all should get along. This isn't y'all shouldn't hate each other. This is funny.
Yeah, no, I mean, that happens to me on a daily basis, an hourly basis almost.
Well, you've done a really good job of getting people to come together. Like, I believe you settled shit between Jeremy, Todd, and I. You and Dave kind of did that, which it was stupid for us to be arguing like that in the beginning. And to begin with, you settled things between Dave and David Feit and Jeremy Todd, if I recall correctly. I remember that happening in the past few months. So like, you've been actually one of the guys that's been good at this unity shit. So if anybody has a say in the rebranding, I will say, for anyone listening, like, Reed is the one. Like, he's the one who's, in my opinion, and from what I've seen, you're definitely one of the best at this shit, for sure.
Yeah, I think that it's the waters have been muddied around it so much because, part of it is there's also the Unity Coalition, which is Magnus's thing, which is related, but it's not the same thing as the Liberty Unity thing. And then you also have Joe Biden with the Unity thing, so.
And the Unity 2020 party that was it the Weinstein brothers tried to do?
Oh yeah, the what's it called?
It was a Unity
Articles of Unity or whatever. Yeah. So
the word unity has got a very bad connotation in a lot of contexts. In other words, yeah.
So I mean, it's been a constant battle of redefining what the movement means. And I think Dave and I and Jeremy and for the most part, David Feit, and I mean, the central people who kind of started the movement, we've always talked about what it means. But then other people will attribute it to something else, or something will happen and everyone will say, oh, this is all the Unity movement's fault or whatever, and usually it's having to do with people that have nothing to do with the Liberty Unity thing. I mean, it was so funny seeing Drew Hancock and I think Jose Galison and a few other people, they were like, you know, they'd make some shit post and people would be like, oh, I thought you wanted unity. It's like, when were they ever a part of this thing? Like, when did they ever talk about it? You know, this is kind of funny.
Yeah, that's actually, Drew had blocked somebody that's a mutual of mine, and he was like, oh, so much for unity. I'm like, Drew is not a unity person. Like, and I don't mean to say that Drew is not all for unifying with people he can unify on good, you know, whenever they're good on an issue. That's not what I mean. I just mean he is not one of these people that like you're talking about, who's specifically kind of trying to do that as their main goal. So that was funny to see also.
Yeah. I kind of don't want that to be attributed to me anymore. I mean, or, you know, to a small group of people. Like, whenever the idea of uniting on the big issues, it always comes back to me or Dave Smith, or now a little bit to Clint from Liberty Lockdown, or David Fight, or Jeremy Todd, or Kevin Hobby, or whatever. Like, it's just, I'm so sick of it being attributed to like 5 people who thought of this crazy idea that people who agree on 98% of the issues should get along. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, that this should be kind of obvious. And, you know, if you have someone who's a piece of shit or a bad actor, then you don't have to be cordial with them. But the whole attributing it to me is something I want us to move past, because I don't know, it's getting obnoxious. You know, like, I get tagged in stuff that has nothing to do with me, that has to do with sometimes like some serious allegations or some bullshit drama or something, that because I'm the Liberty Uniter, I'm the guy who has to come in and tell people how to get along. It's like, look, I didn't sign up to be your therapist. That's not what this is all about. And the concept can be summed up in like a 5-minute conversation. So this isn't even what my show is about. My show isn't about getting along, because that's very self-evident to me, that people who realize what the big issues are and they want to tackle them, that, you know, even if they're going to have infighting, at the end of the day, the number one enemy should be the state. So like this idea that I was bringing this crazy new philosophy in that's never been talked about before, that blows everyone's minds who hears it, that needs books written about it or whatever, and that I should be some figurehead of it, is just, it's just retarded to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, and the thing about it is, every political movement has people that wants to branch out and kind of grab tangentially related actors as well. If the best example of this that gets criticized is Rothbard with his 90s quote unquote paleo strategy. This is whenever he teamed up. If you're listening to this, you for sure know about it, but just to give a brief summation of it, is whenever he like kind of teamed up with Pat Buchanan, who's like probably the most prominent paleo conservative of our lifetimes, for sure, probably of the last 50 years even. And Pat Buchanan's bad on some shit. Pat Buchanan's bad on free trade. He's bad on like immigration. He's bad on some cultural stuff. And he's a racist person. He's probably not. He's a like not a mean, malicious person, but he's probably not the greatest guy as far as like that kind of stuff goes. He probably doesn't like minorities and whatever. But Rothbard saw the opportunity. Like, he was staunchly anti-war. H.W. Bush had just won, and he was like, well, oh no, I'm sorry, Clinton had just won. I apologize. Clinton had just won. H.W. Bush had just lost. This was in the 92, 93 area. And he was like, well, we got to do something. We can't just sit here sitting on our hands without anything. Now, the people who will criticize Rothbard, understandably so. You criticize people for things that you thought they do badly. That's okay. I don't think it was a bad idea. I understand why other people would. But these people won't ever criticize him for teaming up with communists in the 60s against the Vietnam War. So it's you got to give him a fair shake and understand, like, he did some shit that you would like too. Speaking of Rothbard specifically, because he was desperate to find people to unite with on issues that they were good on, because nobody else wanted him. And whenever he finally found somebody that really kind of stuck with him, and then eventually Buchanan and him split, not very amicably in the end, or rather Rothbard died, and then Pat Buchanan said some shit about them being too loyal to all these dead Austrian economists. And then I was kind of like, Hoppe was like, get out of here.
Yeah, it is weird how the criticism tends to only go in one direction. And I do see that on both sides. Like, there are some paleos who, follow me on my YouTube channels. A lot of them have left, but, I would have Spike Cohen on the show, or I would have a leftist on the show like Kim Iverson, and I would try to find areas of agreement, and they'd get really angry at me and call me a sellout lolbert or whatever. And then the people on the left, they only get upset with me when I find agreement with someone who's a Republican or someone who's more conservative or whatever. And to me, it's just being consistent. I mean, obviously, like you said, if we have the right opinions on everything, then you're going to draw from other ideologies that have some of the right opinions on some things. And then if you're a consistent motherfucker, you get called autistic. That's what I got called yesterday. I'm once I try to be completely consistent, I'm autistic. It's just funny.
I saw that somebody said, this is where you're libertarian, or this is where your ideology becomes autistic. And I'm like, all right, good, whatever. Like, call me autistic. I don't care. But yeah, for sure, there's overlap. And what bothers me a lot, and this is like something that bugs me a lot as somebody, I used to call myself an anarcho-capitalist, but I don't really call myself that anymore because the term capitalism has a kind of negative connotation for a lot of people. It's more people than I would like, but that is what it is. We may have to abandon the term as much as I don't want to have to, because we already abandoned the term liberal. It's what it is. But anyway, so I kind of say market anarchist now is like a more appropriate term, because a lot of stuff that we believe to be in the free market, a lot of people would also consider to be socialism, like mutual aid. Just to give a brief rundown of why I say that now. But anyways, I'm always going to bat for like left anarchists. Like, I love Emma Goldman. I love Proudhon. Proudhon's he's not like all the way left, but mutualism, let's be honest, is closer to the left than it is to the right. But I love Rothbard. I love Lou Rockwell. I love Hoppe. There are all kind of people that I love that are legitimately all anarchists. And what bugs me a lot is that there will be people who will swear up and down that there is no such thing as like left anarchism. Now, I don't think it would work. I do not think that anarcho-communism is like something that could be done, but that is the same criticism that people have of right market anarchism or anarcho-capitalism. So It's not like I'm specifically enlightened to these ideas that I know what's best. That's just not how I would want my society to be, a society that I live in, to be structured. But if other people still want to do that, that's totally fine. I totally forgot where I was going with that. But the point I think I was going to make was that, yeah, there's going to be overlap. Like, they hate the state too. You have to acknowledge that they hate the state. And they are definitely, you can fight with them on really good, you can fight with them on issues, even like leftists that are not considered to be anarchists, like anti-war leftists, like a Glenn Greenwald is my favorite example of this. He's like a democratic socialist. But I think he legitimately hates the state, at least the status quo he hates. And he's virulently anti-war, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. And we've talked before, I think you were on the Tower Gang episode where I coined the term bitch, fuck, cucks. And that was distinguishing between left libertarians and these bitch libertarians, because most of these bitch libertarians are actually right-wing libertarians. If you look at their ideology, I mean, they're just woke right-wing libertarians.
They're kind of like, I don't want to cut you off, but they're kind of like neoliberals, which is technically a right-wing ideology. Technically, if you want to really break it down, they're like neoliberals, but way less authoritarian. So they're like decent on some shit, but for the majority of it, they're just bad on almost everything. Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, so as far as how we should treat them versus the state, the whole liberty unity idea was we should be focusing on the state. And while I agree that the bitch, fuck, cucks are not on our side, they deserve absolutely no focus at all, or any. They deserve no attention, no energy. They deserve the complete opposite, unless you're just making them look like an idiot. Unless you can just do like a one-liner that just sinks them and doesn't draw more attention to them. Okay, but there are people who are just constantly quote tweeting these people and having them on their shows or whatever and bringing them relevancy. And it's just like, just stop. Like, this is it's like you're picking a scab, instead of just letting it heal. And I just wanted to bring that up because I do agree with you on the left libertarians, that there are great left libertarians and even leftists who aren't really left libertarians who we can find issue coalitions with. So many people, they can't draw that distinction between issue coalitions and calling someone else a libertarian. Right. Like, AOC and I could have a few overlap on issues, or Matt Gaetz and I could have overlap on issues. I'm not going to call either of those people libertarian, but if either of them, like even if Dick Cheney wanted to do something that I agree with,
okay, hold on, Sarwark, relax.
other than vote for him for LP nominee, But no, I mean, but I'm serious. I don't care. Like if any person, no matter what I disagree with them on everything else, if they will work with me on one issue, I'll always work with them on that issue. I'm going to butcher the quote, but it's something like, what is it? I will do good with anyone and evil with no one, or something like that. I'm butchering that quote, but I think it's Frederick Douglass who said that or something. And it's just the idea, like, it doesn't matter who's saying it. It's what is being said. And I'll work on that one issue. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about crap, I had a point, but I forgot it because I was looking at the chat and I see some people and some of the stuff is kind of distracting me. So I'm sorry about that, but I totally lost the point that I was going to make. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Speaking of Sarwark, you no doubt have seen the picture that I had somebody Photoshop where it looked like I'm holding him and cuddling him in bed. So that is the way. Gay post on Sarwark. That's what you do. I was actually talking to somebody in the Mises Caucus Discord about this. I was like, he was like arguing with him on Facebook. The guy posted 8 screenshots in the Discord, and then I just put the thing that says, I ain't reading all that. I'm sorry for you though, or happy that happened. Like, you know I'm talking about, that one? Mm-hmm. I'm not reading all that. But don't sit there and argue with him and give him your attention. Just make a shit post and move on. And then people will see that and point at him and laugh and make him, it makes the fool out of him more than anything. And so I've kind of like forced the gay posting to happen, and it's hilarious. Like, it is unironically one of the most amusing things I've ever done. The best part about it is, like, one time he actually was saying it was homophobic. It's like, it's not homophobic. I'm gay. What are you talking about? Yeah, and then you force the aggression onto their side. They have to say something bad about you in order. I mean, it's so funny. I love it when that happens. But you're right. I mean, the gay posting. This was something that I found when I was in the workforce early on, is that if you want to defuse a joke that's used against you, like if you're the new guy on the job site and they're making gay jokes about you, you just ratchet it up to 10 and turn it around on them, and then they don't know what to do with it. It's sort of the same idea that you're talking about here, but it delegitimizes them. It doesn't give them any ammo. They don't have anything to throw back at you. It just makes them look ridiculous. And I mean, that's what the whole goal should be, because they are ridiculous. You don't want to give them any ammo that can make their side sound legitimate. And I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I don't think Sarwark is a Fed. I just think he's an ass. And I think calling him a Fed actually gives him ammo, because then you're using bullshit against him, where I think he's just a fucking idiot. But we got super chat here. Top Lobster. Oh boy, we're going to be talking about gazebos. Don't worry. So
thank you. This is a Top Lobster shirt right here. Sweet. He does great work. I don't know about the whole Fed thing. I just say it because it's a meme. But I don't do it anymore. I haven't done it in a while because I had that picture made. So that's what I've been using as my silver bullet. Did you see Scott Horton he was flying off the handle at people calling him a Fed the other night?
Did you see that video he did with Josh on Break the Cycle?
Was it the last
days ago? Yeah.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet. But
by the way, Josh, if you watch this, props to you for leaving that video up, because it got very tense, and I was very impressed that you left it.
Oh, they argued about it?
Oh, yeah. It was very good. Yeah. I recommend everyone go watch it. But I'm very impressed that Josh left it up. I could see it being tempting to take that down, but that's what a true podcaster does. You leave your tense episodes up. So
didn't that happen with Scott and Spike? And Spike didn't publish the episode, or he took it down. Yeah. So if that happened with Josh, maybe
it wasn't quite as bad as the Spike episode, but it was approaching that level. So
yeah, because I saw Josh was one of the ones arguing with him about the Sarwark CIA thing. Right. And he was like, yeah. So I didn't even think about that when I saw that Scott was going to be back on. I'm going to have to go and check that out. Yeah. No, definitely worth watching. It's very good. Let's get into this gazebo stuff, and I want to tie this to a broader
concept here that you don't have a ton of followers, but you have been so influential with your Star Wars image and the gazebo thing. Just like pretty much any joke that you crack, it seems to ripple through the libertarian sphere, end up being reverberated by state libertarian accounts. So what is up with that? Why are you so influential?
I don't know, dude. I can explain the background of the gazebo thing. The Sarwark picture, I just thought it would be funny because Sarwark has that picture of him where he had just gotten vaccinated. He took a selfie in bed. So I was like, oh, this is because I took a picture with laying down with my dog, and I just posted it in our group chat. I was like, dude, can somebody Photoshop this? So that one was just me being like absurd. Mm-hmm. The gazebo thing happened. So this one guy was like posting angrily about the paleos, because anytime you're not like, for these loser people, anytime you're not on board with them, typically you're called the paleo libertarian, which makes no sense because paleo libertarian is kind of a like unique description. It's not just like a broad whatever they think it means. It's kind of unique, but yeah, it's a very specific 90s Rothbard kind of thing. So this guy was like angrily posting about it, and I quote tweeted one of his tweets that was like angry, and I was just like, wow, if this is getting him upset, imagine whenever I meet them in person. Now, he took it as a threat of violence. Let me say, I am not stupid enough to threaten violence on Twitter. Okay, I'm not
especially against this guy when you find out more about him. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. It's not that I was threatening violence at all. I'm not that stupid. But he took it as a threat of violence. What I meant, by the way, was just like, if they're getting this like mad about it, what are they going to cry when I call them stupid in person? Like, what the hell is this? What's it going to be like when we meet at convention or whatever? That's all I meant. So, because I'm like this in real life. I'm like a real life shit poster. It's not just on Twitter. Right. So he quote tweeted that tweet with, I still can't believe this happened. He said,
amazing.
I build 900-pound gazebos by myself. You look like you weigh 40 pounds. Your threats mean nothing to me. So I saw that and I was like, I quoted that with "Wake up, babe." New copy pasta just dropped. And the best part about this whole thing is that he replied to that comment. He replied to that tweet with, "Everyone already knows what I do for a living. This isn't gonna make a pasta." Well, I was like, all right, I bet. And yep, sure enough, Twitter exploded. Like Liberty Twitter was nothing but gazebo posting. And we had the LP Kentucky gazebo posting, the LP Colorado gazebo posting. Like, holy shit. I don't know how that happened, but I made it happen. I don't know how it worked. I see Top Lobsters in the chat saying it's because I'm a living meme. That's true. I'm destined for memeagery. There's no other way around it. I became a meme. Yeah.
Talk about that. What is going on in that picture? I still don't know, but.
Yeah. So it was in April. Gene Epstein had a debate with Ben Burgess in a place called the Villages, Florida. It's one of the Soho Forum debates, and there was a Q&A, and I asked a question at the Q&A, and my wife took a video of me asking the question with her phone, and she sent it to me. And when I look back at it, I talk with my hands a lot. You see it. You see me now. Like I talk with my hands a lot. I gesticulate a lot and make a lot of movements. And, during it, I was like talking, yeah, Ben, blah, 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 blah. And then I did this, and then I did this, and then I did the hands here, and I did the arms. The arms cross was like at the beginning when I was waiting to ask my question. So like I saw all those and I was like, these are great. And I posted a meme. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what the first official one was that I did, but I was the one that started that, where I just posted the picture with a quote of me saying something. I think it was something about, what about government mandated girlfriends, Mr. Burgess, or something like that. But then like it took off. The first one that I saw that really took off was Cotton Arcus posted one of me with my arms crossed, and it said, "You telling me a shrimp fried this rice?" Which is, I don't know why that's the funniest one. That's the funniest one to me. But yeah, they're still kind of going. I've seen a couple of them popping up as of late, but that was all the way back in April, and they're still semi-alive.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about it while we're having this conversation. You've been influential in many ways throughout the last couple months that I've known you. You became a meme, and then you called Ricky Harrington a bitch. And then these last few things have happened too. And I'm just like, man, like we better not ignore this guy. We better, stick around and pay attention to what he's doing because, they say politics are downstream from culture and you certainly have a finger on culture. So,
well, the Ricky, let me explain myself for that. The Ricky Dale Harrington thing that happened was whenever the I almost said Louisiana, the Libertarian, I almost said it again, Libertarian Party Mises Caucus Twitter posted a meme that I believe our boy Dave Casey from Dave versus Goliath made, which was a picture of two water fountains. One was like nice looking and one was like raggedy looking. And it said vaccinated on one and unvaccinated on the other. And now obviously this is a reference to Jim Crow and segregation, separate but equal bullshit. But he made that after the news had broke that the New York Mets at Citi Field was going to be separating people based on vaccination or being vaccinated or unvaccinated. Right. So it is by definition segregation. But then Ricky Dale Harrington, who is a black man in Arkansas, who is an LP running for governor in Arkansas, saw that and he was flipping out about it. And there was one where he replied to it, the picture saying like, my grandmother was, had to go through this shit, and I have family members who were lynched and all kind of bad shit. And then they replied like, "Look, man, this is the kind of thing we need to do to evoke. You got to evoke this image." I don't remember exactly what it was. It was months ago now. But then he replied to that with doubling down. I see, great strategy. So I replied with being a bitch. I see, great strategy, and that got so many people mad. And I understand, like Larry Sharp replied to it and just this was perfect. Actually, what he replied was perfect. Later on, he did some stupid shit, but he just replied, "Did you just call Ricky Dale Harrington a bitch? You should take a step back and check yourself." Like that was a perfect reply in my opinion. Larry's older than me. He's been in this longer than I've been alive, probably. He's a well-respected member of the LP. But then, like, what pissed me off about Larry was he quote tweeted Ricky's tweet that I replied to saying he was being a bitch. He quote tweeted that one, not me, saying, like, tagging Dave Smith and Michael Hayes saying, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And I'm just like, that's kind of weird. It's like he was baiting Dave and Mike to come in and say like, "Oh, I disavow that guy," which was really crummy to me. And then he did try to come on he was like, "I'll come on your podcast," and we were making arrangements for it, but my account got banned, and that kind of lost
that lost steam after that. Yeah, I dropped a C-bomb. There was somebody who kept on baiting me into arguments over this whole thing. So it did kind of start with the Ricky Harrington thing, and they were baiting me into arguments. And one point, I strung together a bunch of curse words and a C-bomb, which algorithmically snapped me right away. Didn't even have a chance to. It didn't even, like, nobody even reported it. That's like immediately when I clicked send, that was it. It was gone. Yeah, I mean, I like both of those guys. I've had them both on the show. But what's really annoying to me is this binary shit. Like you can't like somebody and disagree with a take they have. And I personally wouldn't have called him a bitch, I mean, whatever, but
I know, I understand.
Yeah. But, like I agreed with the overall sentiment of what the Mises Caucus was posting there, because it was true. And I also agree that trying to invoke powerful emotions with comparisons is a powerful tool, and that it's not delegitimizing something that happened in the past. If you think about it, it's actually giving it more legitimacy, because you're like, look, this is so bad, and this is where we could end up if we keep going down this road. Like, if you're trying to delegitimize something, you don't bring it up again. You would
keep ignoring it. That's right. That's exactly. A good point.
So you're not delegitimizing it. And I mean, that thing that the rabbi got into with that really rubbed me the wrong way. And then I sicked Ryan Dawson on him before he got banned. And I wonder if that tweet that Ryan sent against him is what ended up getting him nuked eventually, because that was beautiful. But yeah, I mean, I hate both of those things, that you can still like somebody, but you can't disagree with them. Like, and then the other thing being that you can draw comparisons to something that historically was very bad because you're trying to warn people, look, we're headed down the same direction. And by doing that, you're not delegitimizing it. You're actually showing how bad it was, because you're using it as an example of where you don't want to end up again.
That's exactly right. And it's also like they pick and choose what you can compare to and who you compare to what. because it's totally okay. And I mean, this isn't like an original thought that I came up with or anything. It's not. I'm not aping anybody, but I'm not the only one to ever say this. But it's like we're comparing Donald Trump to Hitler the entirety of his 4 years. People compared George Bush to Hitler. People compared Obama to Hitler. Like, why are we not allowed to make certain comparisons in certain areas? But it's okay whenever certain people do it with certain other comparisons. Like, it makes no sense to me. And another thing, you had a perfect tweet. It was something like, I wish we would get more mad about the issue we're comparing to the past atrocity than the comparison itself. It's like, that's exactly right. That's the perfect way to word it. That's also a way you can say you disagree with Ricky Harrington without calling him a bitch like I did, because you have more tact than I do.
Yeah, I got to be more careful now. I've got a big following, so I can't. I mean, I either said in the group chat or made a tweet the other day that I wish I had 3,000 followers again. I sometimes do wish that, because back in those days you could just say whatever you wanted. And that's the other thing I wanted to ask you. How many tweets have you deleted? Have you never deleted a tweet? And if you have never deleted a tweet, how many do you write out on your phone or your computer or whatever, and then just sit there for 10 seconds like, do I really want to send this? And then what's the ratio that you send versus what you draft or delete?
It's not often I don't send something I write up. Most of the time I do that is only because I'm making a joke to screenshot it, to send it to the group chat. Like, oh, look what I'm about to tweet, but they know I'm not going to do it most of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do that and be like, should I post this? And they'll say, yeah, and I'll do it. The only time I don't do things on Twitter or I say it's only Twitter I'm on. So the only time I don't post stuff is out of fear of getting banned. It's not fear of backlash. Like, I'm not worried about I'm not worried about people coming after me or anything. Yeah. I'm just worried about getting banned again. So like, there's a few that I can, this isn't the same thing, but if I genuinely make a mistake, then I'll delete the tweet.
Yeah, if there's a factual error, or you took someone out of context accidentally or something like that.
Or like a really
spelling.
Typo or something. Usually I'll do that if I catch it quick enough. But other than that, I did delete when I was talking about the tweet that I made that got all this stuff started with the losers. When I replied to myself with the was were picture, I deleted that one because I saw that the guy that made it, or the guy that originally posted it, got banned. So I was like, oh shit, I don't want this to happen to me. Otherwise, but I think I got away with it because it was like obvious that I was just providing context, despite how bad the context really was. But it's not often I delete shit. It's not often I refuse to tweet something.
Yeah, no, I mean, same. It's very rare that I delete something. And oh man, I put some hard in the paint tweets out over the last month with
dude.
Oh man, some of them I mean, to me, it's a lot of it's about phrasing and keywords. Like you can still convey imagery or a message very easily that if you put into different words would get you nuked instantly. But if you just know how to say it, then you can get away with it. And I've gotten pretty good at that, because I should definitely be nuked otherwise with some of the things I said over the last few weeks. But
it's also the subject matter a lot of the time. Like, that's why Israel, goddamn, that was a Freudian slip. I was actually going to start talking about Israel though, but what I was going to say was that's why Ryan Dawson gets banned everywhere, because he talks about Israel. He talks about the most like touchy subject with everybody. And we know there's more to it than that, but that's why he gets banned off of everything. That's why he got banned from Twitter. And you were doing I was afraid for your account for a bit, because you were doing a whole lot of apartheid Israel posting. I was like, oh shit. All right. Well, be prepared for.
Yeah. The best one I put out was, what's the biggest difference between the Nazis and Zionists?
Oh,
and I said, we bombed the Nazis and we give bombs to Zionists.
Oh man. That one I was kind of worried, because I remember you said that in one of the chats we were in together. I was like, because that's what gets you banned, is posting bad things about the wrong people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Well, to wrap it up, where can people follow your show? What's it called? And you got anything going on in the future? Are you going to any more events? I know you went to Childerberg. You going to Freedom Fest or Pork Fest or anything? Or
no, I'm not going to be able to make either of those, but I am trying to go to Y'all Revolution. Even if I can't like register and go to that, there is going to be a Saturday that I should be able to go and just hang out with some of the people there, like Will Fight and Unironic ANCAP and some other folks that are in our group. So there is that. If I do make it out there to Orlando, even if it's just to go there for the weekend with my wife, then y'all can catch me there. Whoever's at y'all. My show is the Individualist Podcast. Find anything I put out at individualistpodcast.com. You follow me on Twitter at Nick_individual. And I'm going to be doing, like, tomorrow I'm doing Joshua Smith's show. Tuesday I'm doing another show with some other folks. Oh, thank you, Alex. That's nice of you.
Thank you.
I don't think I'm doing anything Wednesday. I'm doing LB Muniz's show. Like, I'm doing all kind of shows this week. So y'all, I'm going to be everywhere for the next little while.
All right, cool. Well, we look forward to hearing more from you and seeing what shitstorms you can turn up in the Liberty movement.
Yeah, what'll be next? We'll see.
Well, guys, think about it. He's only got like 1,400 followers, and think of how influential he's been. So if we can get him to 10,000, I mean, he can change the country. You know, like we'll have a different perspective on liberty nationwide. But yeah,
that's high praise. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on, man. And yeah, hopefully your account lasts. Hopefully you don't have to keep building new ones. But we'll keep tabs on you and keep following you, whichever account you're under.
Thanks a lot, Reed.